Good afternoon. Welcome to the Whittier home, and we're excited for you to be here for the Tapestry of Voices. Hello. My name is Ann Ferguson. I'm the president of the Whittier Home Association, and I appreciate all of your great poetry, and thank you for coming. 26 years ago, the Tapestry, probably this is the 27th year ago, Tapestry of Voices came together with Lainey Seneschal and Harris, and it's been a wonderful thing that we've done for the last 10 years in the garden of the Whittier home. So thank you for being here. I can't tell you every person's name, but hopefully by the end of the afternoon, you'll all know who everyone is. Okay. I would love to invite Chris. Would you want to speak now? I'm done. I'm easy. For those of you who don't know her, this is Lisa Usani Phillips. She's our poet laureate. Just be careful of this.
Oh, yeah. The GIMP has arrived. This is a very good turnout, and it's so nice to see all your smiling faces, especially students. And we got 5 students here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do we have 5? No. Okay. All right, so we have Lucius and we have Isabel. And who is the gentleman in the back with the green shirt? Oh, you're Kyle. Okay. Kyle, and that's it? We only have 3 students here? Well, that's not cool. Anyway, they said they were coming. Ronan Burke and J.J. Welch are the other 2. And they may yet show up. Yeah, that is true. Anyhow, just a couple of housekeeping reminders. There is a restroom inside the green door immediately to the left of the house. And who's this coming across the lawn? Hello. That's okay. Don't be sorry. And you're very welcome. Just come on and find a seat, and it's very hot, so there is water on the table over there, and there are some cookies, and there will be crackers and cheese as soon as, and there's more people coming in. Hopefully it's a student, but maybe not. We'll see. So I'm just going to blather for a few minutes until people come in, and that's great. People are mostly shorter than I am. I don't know. Anyhow, we're going to kick off this program with our students, and Lisa, who has already been introduced as our poet laureate. Are there chairs? Are there seats for you? Yeah, and we have plenty more chairs, so right now you can take the ones up front. And there's programs on the chairs. And Isabel, your mom is here, right? Beth? Hi, is that you? She's over there. Okay, I saw you out here. And, I thought you were one of the students. There you go. No, I was at the kitchen table putting together stuff. Anyway, so like Ann said, this is the 27th annual Tapestry of Voices reading and collaboration, and we are honoring today Harris Gardner, who is here with us and is one of the co-founders of the Tapestry of Voices, and his picture's on the front of the program. And if it hadn't been for Harris and his lovely lady, Lainey, we wouldn't have had this program. And it's been my favorite event of the year, even though there was one that I recall that was even hotter than this. And it was when a Japanese professor and his wife were here, and the Japanese professor had translated Whittier's Snowbound into Japanese. And his that translation is in our gift shop inside. And so if you speak Japanese, it's a very interesting thing to look at, but it's also in English, depending on which side you open. It's kind of a flip-over book. Anyway, it's kind of cool. Anyway, they were dressed up in full Japanese garb, and it was 97 degrees out here, and we were just all absolutely melting. And everybody looks very cool and calm today. I think I'm the only one that's melting. But without further ado, Lisa is going to introduce each of our poets, and she's going to start with Lucius first, and then Kyle. So we have first, second, and third place. I know, but she's the last one to read.
Okay, so.
Okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, no, we're going to work up to Isabel's, because it's a great poem. Anyway, if you'd silence your cell phones, that would be good. Mute your cell phones. Because there's nothing, we have to contend with the fire department, which is right down the block, and we hope there's not a fire truck going by. But anyway, any other questions, let us know, okay? And have a good time.
Thank you, Chris. And thank you, Harris, for starting all this and continuing it over the years. Oh, the mic. Thank you. Thanks, Priscilla.
Just take the handle and put it back. Yeah, you gotta bring it all the way up.
There we go. Can you hear me now? Yeah. There you go. Okay. So in third place, we have Lucius Nelson, who is in 10th grade. Or I guess you're going into 11th grade? Going into 11th grade at Newburyport High School. And he will be reading Assumption. Whoa.
Before I ever spoke, you branded me silent, and with that decree off went my tongue, and with it my protest. Before I had time to think, you said I was incapable of thought. After that, I didn't bother. You've deemed me stupid, so why should I even try to be smart? You've decided who I am, so why should I try to figure it out for myself? You created me a new life, discrediting the one I had lived. Now you call me caged, hidden from you. You never thought to think why. Each piece of information I offered was dissected like a frog in middle school biology. I've been pinned down. You pulling out organ after organ, declaring it a kidney or a spleen, not listening to me when I told you those were my heart and lungs. You told me to be quiet as I gasped for breath, as I pleaded for love. I begged you to see me, to hear me when I told you what I needed. I needed you to trust me, to respect me, to believe in me. But you believed yourself to be smarter than me. With each story told, you connected dots with red string and pushpins. Then, when I tore down your crime board, said it was filled with assumptions and lies, you said it was simply the way you were civilized. Acting as if I'm some wild creature you must domesticate, never asking my opinion on being seen as a project. Only seeing your design as improving me, making me better. What gives you the right to see me as less than? To think it's your job to dissect me, to correct me? I'm 16. I don't need you to pretend to be my mother. I want you to get to know me because you like me, because you respect me, because you think I'm interesting or funny, because you think my opinions are important, because you care about me, because you love me, because you're in love with me for who I am, not because you're trying to find faults to patch.
Thank you, Lucius. And then in second place, we have Kyle Charowitz. And he is in 11th grade going into 12th, rising senior at Amesbury High School. And he will be reading Beneath the Rising Sun.
Just make sure I got this position here. Yeah, I'll manage.
No, you gotta bring it up so that.
Oh, yeah. Do I have to, like, twist this thing? Or?
Oh, there you go.
Right. Yeah, I'm not familiar with this, so. Yeah, sorry. Just going to take right here. Oh, okay. I didn't see. Perfect. All right.
Okay. You've got to speak into both, though.
Both? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. It's a regular morning, the sun barely on the horizon. Battleships lay docked, decks and cannons finely polished, flags gracefully unfurled, sporting red, white, and blue. Just a regular tropical day. Then, a low buzz buzzing like a beehive. Steel birds rise from the horizon, pearl white and blood red, perhaps a training exercise. The winged machines soar, looming over the harbor. Then, a shrieking whistle. A series of deafening explosions erupt. The earth and sea crumble and shake. Hangars burn to a crisp. Gunfire violently erupts, each projectile zipping by, anger and lead mixed in their cores. A metallic serpent hits Arizona. Her hull buckles and groans. Flame and smoke seeping from her rivets. Pearl Harbor lays in ruins. Steel birds retreat, carrying victory alongside them. They have completed their task. A fiery, smoky wasteland is all that remains. The ships lay wounded, their blood leaking into the marina. Gunfire slowly fades away. Arizona takes a deep breath. Her steel mast collapses. Her burning hull takes a final plunge beneath the rising sun.
Thank you so much, Kyle. It was great. And in first place, we have Isabel Legere from Haverhill High School, and she's a senior who graduated, and she will be reading The Old Gods. I'll bring them up.
The old gods are not dead. When men speak to me as if I can't read, I feel Athena awaken somewhere in my bones. Her mouth is the one spitting words I had forgotten I memorized, facts from deep pockets of libraries. She revels in the way they stutter at the quickness of my tongue, whispers, "Here is what it's like to be above cities." I know Demeter for the way I feel in dirt, catching sunlight in my palms, and commanding them not to be disgusted at a girl unhaunted by pretty, hair a mess and legs hairy and smile crooked. I have kissed Aphrodite, met her not only in lust, but as the girl who listens as though she is tied to your soul. She takes me out dancing, unashamed. I have even been her once or twice, on rare moons when the stars align. I know the rage of Artemis. I hunt those who have hurt my sisters. I slay demons. I run in night with red lips. She takes me swimming in pools of starlight. Then the moon cradles me in sleep. I am Persephone, always, goddess of spring, goddess of the pomegranate, goddess of wanting, of riding her own horse to the underworld, and of being two queens, two-faced but true in heart. Hecate laughs as they call out ugly names, knowing that they are no more than swine, even if she hasn't cursed their exterior to match. Coming to the crossroads, we walk together. The darkness she carries makes her no less of my soul. And I hear Hera, queen of them all, scorned and scornful. When men take power from me, I hear her whispering, "Take it back," she says, tongue nectar sweet, ambrosia in the bloodstream. "Take back your city." My mind is steel, my crown is sharp. The old gods are not dead. They live in women. They live in me.
Oops. Thank you so much, Isabel. And now we would like to present you with the awards. We have a plaque and something else too, the prize. So Lucius, if you could come up, and Kyle also. Thank you. So Isabel, first place. And Kyle, second place. And Lucius, third place. Thank you. Thank you all very much. And now I think we are going to have readers come up. We have some poets here, and I think I'm going first. I'll let you return to the audience. Thank you so much.
And Lisa,
Yes,
when you're finished reading, introduce the next poem.
will do. Yep.
I'm pushing this
Sure.
down a tiny bit because we can't see the face of it.
Oh, okay. Sure. Thank you, Peter. So I think I'm the sacrificial first poet. Sorry. Yes. The students were the sacrifices. I'm volunteering as tribute to be the first of the other poets. So I thought I would share what I call Whittier and Whitfield, two local poet abolitionists. And this is something that I presented as part of Amesbury's first Juneteenth celebration back in June. So Whittier and Whitfield, two local poet abolitionists. John Greenleaf Whittier's work as an abolitionist began in 1833 when Newburyport abolitionist William Lloyd Garrison asked him to find a place for an anti-slavery meeting in Amesbury. Whittier attended the meeting and was so moved that he joined the movement. A Quaker poet, politician, and editor, Whittier, who was white, wrote about and advocated for abolition despite being attacked for it personally. He celebrated the Emancipation Proclamation with the poem Laus Deo, which he wrote about, quote, hearing the bells ring on the passage of the constitutional amendment abolishing slavery. Laus Deo begins, "It is done. Clang of bell and roar of gun. Send the tidings up and down, how the belfries rock and reel, how the great guns peal on peal, fling the joy from town to town. Ring, O bells, every stroke exulting tells of the burial hour of crime. Loud and long, that all may hear, ring for every listening ear of eternity and time." And the poem ends with the following. "It is done. In the circuit of the sun, shall the sound thereof go forth? It shall bid the sad rejoice. It shall give the dumb a voice. It shall belt with joy the earth. Ring and swing, bells of joy. On morning's wing, send the song of praise abroad. With a sound of broken chains, tell the nation that he reigns, who alone is Lord and God." And then Whittier was the contemporary of James Monroe Whitfield, who was a poet and abolitionist born in 1822 to free black parents in Exeter, New Hampshire. African-American civil rights leader Frederick Douglass published Whitfield's work in his newspapers. Whitfield also published a volume of poetry, America and Other Poems, in 1853. Here's an excerpt from Whitfield's A Poem Written for the Celebration of the 4th Anniversary of President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, which Whitfield delivered in San Francisco in 1867. While freedom falters once again, the fogs and mists begin to rise and cast their shadows o'er the plain, veiling the issue from our eyes, on which the nation yet must stand. Impartial freedom through the land, yet once again our moral air is tainted by that poisonous breath, which freedom's lungs can never bear, which surely ends in moral death. Then let the people in their might arise and send the fiat forth, that every man shall have the right to rank according to his worth, that north and south and west and east, all from the greatest to the least, who rally to the nation's cause, shall have the shield of equal laws, wipe out errors of the past, nursed by the barbarous pride of caste, and o'er the nation's wide domain, where once was heard the clanking chain, and timorous bondmen crouched in fear before the brutal overseer, proclaim the truth that equal laws can best sustain the righteous cause, and let this nation henceforth be, in truth, the country of the free. Thank you. And next up, we have Peter Bryant reading two poems, My Double, Gravity, and Thoughts of Poet George Wallace.
Okay, good afternoon. It's great to see so many friends again, especially some of the winners from previous years, so welcome back. One of the best introductions I ever heard at Tapestry of Voices was in 2023 when Alfred Nicol gave us Skipper Ireton. It was a wonderful rendering of Skipper Ireton's right against all odds of the wind. And we were really on a windy day. I mean, it was everybody else was mice, and he was a lion. It was wonderful. What was equally good and wonderful was Alfred's introduction, where he took time aside to remind us that Whittier was an important person, a most moral man, an example for all, as well as being a great poet. Whittier's health was far too frail for him to attend the unveiling of the statue of Josiah Bartlett in July the 4th, 1888. He'd already written one poem for the occasion, which was one of the signers. This is his poem, called My Double. But though he remained with his cousins in Oaknall in Danvers, he wrote My Double, imagining what he would have done if he was there. It's a very unusual take on Whittier's poem. It's like none other, I think. And it's a look at him in his real life. And he wasn't scaling his literary heights. He was talking about the people who he dealt with, which is really nice. Before we start, I'm going to tell you that I'm reading exactly how it was written, in the language of the time, in the language of the rhyme. Be thou not offended. I'm in Amesbury, not at Oaknall. 'Tis my double you see here. I'm sitting on a platform where the programme places me. The women nudge each other and point me out and say, that's the man who makes the verses. My, how old he is, and grey. I hear the crackers popping. I hear the brass band drums throb. I sit at Boynton's right hand and help him boss the job. And, like the great stone giant dug out of Cardiff mire, we lift our man of metal and resurrect Josiah. Around the Hampshire Democrats look glum and grim. That thing, the Kinston doctor, do you call that critter him? The pesky black Republicans have gone and changed his figure. We buried him a white man, they dug him up a nigger. I hear the wild winds rushing from Boynton's limber jaws, swift as his railroad bicycle, and buzzing like his saws. But Hiram the wise is explaining it's only an alteration of ginger pop emmons come down by way of adulation. Then Jacob, the vehicle maker, comes forward to inquire if Governor Ames will relieve the town of the care of old Josiah. The governor says, if Amesbury can't take of its own charge, the state must do it, I suppose, and keep him running at large. Then rises orator Robert, recounting with grave precision the tale of the Great Declaration and the claims of his brother physician. Both doctors and both congressmen, tall and straight, you'll scarce know which is the live man and which is the image, except by their trousers and by their breeches. Then, when the Andover heretic reads the rhymes I dare not utter, I fancy Josiah is scowling, and his bronzed lips seem to mutter, "Dry up, stop your nonsense. The Lord who has his mercies won't save me from the Tories. Preserve me now from verses." Bad taste in the old Continental, whose knowledge of verse was at best, John Rogers' farewell to his wife and 9 children, and with one at breast. He's treating me worse than the Hessians. He's shot in the Bennington scrimmage. I outlived the newspaper clinic. Have I outlived the newspaper clinic to be scalped by his graven image? Perhaps after all I deserve it, since I, who was born a Quaker, sit here as an image worshipper instead of an image breaker. So that's Mr. Whittier. Thank you, Mr. Whittier. And it's quite different to his normal style. Whittier was feeling his Zato at the time, and he still had great wit, as you heard in this poem. Whittier was also having trouble dropping things, and this seemed to be getting worse as he got older. I definitely sympathise with his predicament. Also, it seems that now gravity has got trickier than it was in 1888, and things seem to be falling down more often. I don't know whether you agree with me, but we'll see. This is my poem, Gravity is Getting Me Down. As I get older, gravity is getting me down. Down on my knees gets harder and harder, whether in church or raiding the larder, or I slip when walking downtown. Why can't things fall down straight? I've just dropped some bolts and nuts. Call me a klutz, it's way too late. Everything is so far from its mate. They say gravity is the law, but space-time it is bent. Nothing goes the way it's been sent, as I pick myself up from the floor. Have you ever picked up a rope and needed some more as you opened the door? You juggled and lost, at what a great cost, as everything fell to the floor. The gravity, the earth round the sun, it would seem to be a straight line, but that's not really fine. It's really a curve. That guy's got some nerve. It's just gravity having fun. So what is Mr. Gravity thinking? Does he take your angst into account? When he decides what to do, the joke is on you, and you'll find yourself slowly sinking. Slowly at first and then fast, does it wildly accelerate until with a splat, you land and that's that. I would be thinking that gravity's won. And we talked about Alfred giving us some good words, and we had some good words given to us by George Wallace in April. We're there. George Wallace was one of the 4 guest poets at the Rockport International Festival Poetry Reading on April the 26th in the Whittier home. All the 4 poets were outstanding. What I'm going to tell is George Wallace's introduction before he read his poems. George is the poet in residence at the Walt Whitman birthplace in New York. And a video of that whole meeting is on the Whittier Home's YouTube, so you can actually see the whole meeting there. These are his words. And this was a surprise. We were expecting a poem, and we got some very wise words. It's a very important thing for me to be here today, and here's why. This is a Quaker house. It's a Quaker home. This man was a premier proponent of abolition. He wrote anti-slavery poetry as a Quaker poet. This is something which is dear and close to my heart. First of all, I work in a Quaker house. Walt Whitman's mother was from a Quaker family. Long Island has been a long Quaker history. The Quakers have contributed much. The Quaker idea of inner light and the universality of human spirit is something that probably is the most important thread in the fabric of early American culture. This enabled us to not be selfish, not to be xenophobic, not to push our point of view on other people. In the early American history, when the Puritans came, they wanted to be the boss of Boston. They did not want to have a pluralistic, open society. The Quakers were a counterweight to the totalitarianism of early Puritanism. And in New York, with its mercantile Dutch traditions, this tradition, also an important thread of American history, but it can lead to greed and selfishness. The Quaker thread is the one thread that from the 1600s, certainly through 1820 and 1840s, that saved America from itself. So being here today under the roof in Amesbury, where Whittier lived and worked and worshipped just up the street, is especially important to me. I visited Quaker sites around the world, and I now have visited Whittier's Quaker home. I know the very, very critical important work Whittier did as an advocate for anti-slavery in the 1840s. We thank you for allowing us to read here. The Quaker idea of the inner light serves us well today, and we should all look out for the goodness in all of us. There is no them. Thank you, George. Thank you for listening. And now we have Debbie Szabo. And is Debbie Szabo here?
Yeah, you're up.
Just in time. She just got here. Hey, good timing. Well, I do have a very good excuse. I was at a wedding in Vermont, and I didn't want to miss this, and I thought I could do it all, and I guess I am doing it all.
You are doing it.
So, okay. Oh, I miss Lucius, though. He was great, though, wasn't he?
He was awesome.
I know, he's pretty great. Okay, so some of you know that Chris started to ask me to read at this event a few years ago, and I couldn't quite decide which Whittier poem I wanted to read, and so I asked Chris to just choose one for me, which she graciously did, and I wrote some response to it, and then because I'm a teacher, I actually like assignments, so that became my thing. Every year when Chris would email me and say, would you please read something, I would say, sure, give me something to read, and then I would write something in response. Often it was like a parody or something kind of silly. And this year she sent me a poem called For Righteousness's Sake, which was written when there was a fugitive slave. Anthony Burns was his name. He was a store clerk, and he had made it all the way to Boston. And then his owner from Virginia came and reclaimed him, and it's really a horrible story. And there was another poem before by Whittier about the same incident, and I couldn't. I'm going to read you the poem, but I couldn't. Every time I tried to write a response, I got really sad or really angry, and I thought this isn't like the occasion that I want to sound really sad and angry. So I'm going to read you the poem, and then I'm just going to do something completely different. So here's the poem, For Righteousness' Sake, by John Greenleaf Whittier. The age is dull and mean. Men creep, not walk, with blood too pale and tame to pay the debt they owe to shame. Buy cheap, sell dear, eat, drink, and sleep down-pillowed, deaf to moaning want, pay tithes for soul insurance, keep 6 days to mammon, one to cant. In such a time, give thanks to God that somewhat of the holy rage with which the prophets in their age on all its decent seemings trod has set your feet upon the lie that man and ox and soul and clod are market stock to sell and buy. The hot words from your lips, my own, to caution trained might not repeat. But if some tares among the wheat of generous thought and deed were sown, no common wrong provoked your zeal, the silken gauntlet that is thrown in such a quarrel rings like steel. The brave old strife the fathers saw for freedom calls for men again like those who battled not in vain for England's charter, Alfred's law, and right of speech and trial just wage in your name their ancient war with venal courts and perjured trust. God's ways seem dark, but soon or late they touch the shining hills of day. The evil cannot brook delay. The good can well afford to wait. Give ermine knaves their hour of crime. Ye have the future, grand and great, the safe appeal of truth to time. So sadly, this could have been written yesterday, which I found too depressing. So instead, I recalled some whimsical limericks I wrote for John Greenleaf Whittier a few years ago. So some of you may have heard these, but this was the only way I could go. So here they are. Whimsical limericks for John Greenleaf Whittier. My dear Mr. John Greenleaf Whittier, your house and grounds couldn't be prettier. Your poems are good, but I wish that you would be the teeniest, tiny bit wittier. In Amesbury, you made your home, but regardless of where you would roam, you'd just pick up a pen, think of nature, and then you'd write poem after poem after poem after poem. There's no doubt you were wildly prolific, with your meter and rhyme so specific. Still, at rare times, your verse is refreshingly terse, while your tone tends to stay optimistic. You're quite fond of personification. You've imbued objects with animation. In a poem, you once gleaned that some frost was a fiend keen on haunting your imagination. And that very same creative mind has enabled you often to find the best way to remind us of good times behind us when barefoot boys walked unconfined. Your Quaker roots set a strong precedent. All your politics were oddly prescient, since we're still having fights to grant all equal rights and make base power mongers feel penitent. So while morals may seem antiquated, you boost ours to be liberated, as this house with your name serves to maintain your fame and ensure you will not be outdated. Oh, and next, it's probably okay. And the next poet, I'm sorry, I apologize, Bob. The next poet is Bob Whalen.
Harris, I want to start by thanking you and Lainey for such a beautiful program, and the Whittier House for keeping it going. And in that light, I want to thank the hyacinth for blooming and giving us beautiful scents. Okay. We've gotten wise words, and I'll start with sharing a few, not many, from Richard Hoffman, who I think many of you know. This is from his essay, Poetry is Dissent. Far from being a luxury, poetry is the essential medium. It is because poetry is handmade, because it does not require a great deal of money to perform its artistry and affect its influence, that it can save us. Most people find poets archaic, quaint, maybe charming, like candlelight. But think of how useful candles are when the power goes out, and think about the gathering storm and the darkness that has begun to fall. And Whittier had something to say about this. Clerical oppressors. Just God, and these are they who minister at thine altar, God of right? Men who with their hands with prayer and blessing lay on Israel's ark of light? What? Preach and kidnap men? Give thanks and rob thy own afflicted poor? Talk of thy glorious liberty and then bolt hard the captive's door? What? Servants of my own merciful Son, who came to seek and save the homeless and the outcast, fettering down the tasked and plundered slave? Pilate and Herod, friends. Chief priests and rulers as of old combined, just God and holy is that church which lends strength to the spoiler thine. Paid hypocrites who turn judgment aside and rob the holy book of those high words of truth which search and burn in warning of rebuke. Feed fat, locusts, feed. And in your tasseled pulpits, thank the Lord that from the toiling bondsman's utter need, ye pile your own full board. How long, O Lord, how long shall such a priesthood barter truth away, and in thy name for robbery and wrong at thy own altars pray? Is not thy hand stretched forth visibly in the heavens to awe and smite? Shall not the living God of all the earth and heaven above do right? Woe then to all who grind their brethren of a common Father down, to all who plunder from the immortal mind its bright and glorious crown. Woe to the priesthood, woe to those whose hire is the price of blood, perverting, darkening, changing as they go the searching truths of God. Their glory and their might shall perish, and their very names be vile before all the people in the light of a world's liberty. Oh, speed the moment on when wrong shall cease, and liberty and love and truth and right throughout the earth be known, as in their home above. I was one of 5,000 who got a call for submission, and apparently they only had 5,000. And so this is a poem that went to the moon with NASA's project. It's intended to be the beginning of a digital library. At some point, they'll have a space station. Now, at the moment, it's just moon litter. Can a bridge be built? Can a bridge be built, joining heart with mind, so compassion is seen as logical, where passion won't render reason blind, and thoughts inspire the emotional? Can a bridge be built between body and soul, where molecules sway to transcendent music as they dance to make existence whole, and muscle enlightens the body electric? Can a bridge be built that brings hate to love, where opposites learn to tolerate as acceptance expands through the sky above, and dark impulses mitigate? Can a bridge be built to bring life to stone, its spark the zenith of creation, animating skin and bone to endure beyond annihilation? Can a bridge be built to span the flow of time, conceding its course and all its power, flowing from sources so sublime that eternities drift in every hour? Can a bridge be built across the gorge of death, to pass that height, but know no fear, without clinging to the final breath, and say goodbye to all that's dear? Thank you. And now, without any further ado, Alfred Nicole. No? It helps to turn the page. You're going to have to help me
I'm so
with
sorry.
that.
Here. And our next poet is Colette Turco.
Okay. Sorry, Colette.
I'm not going to be as uplifting as those people who came before me. But Whittier's poem is. And he sort of leads in. So when I start my poem, you can block your ears. Thank you, Paris and Lainey, may she rest in peace, for starting this wonderful tradition. And thank you, Chris, for the many years, all of the years, that you planned all the details to make sure this went perfectly every time, and many of those years as president of the Whittier Association. I have a hello from Rena Espaillat. Nobody ever turns down a hello. She wishes she could be here. She's being honored in New York City by the Dominican diaspora today, or weekend. Okay, we've heard several different types of Whittier poems. Whittier was a master of the narrative poem, so mine has characters. I grew up in Rhode Island, so Rhode Island got the kickouts that Massachusetts kicked out all the people that couldn't stay in Massachusetts. It was easy to go to Rhode Island because you couldn't go through the woods all that way, but you could go by boat. And, well, I don't think they all made it, actually. So this poem is, and it has, well, it's a sad title, but the news gets better as it goes on. Can you hear me? Banished from Massachusetts. There's an epigraph on a painting by E.A. Abbey. The General Court of Massachusetts enacted October 19, 1658, that any person or persons of the cursed, oh, I forgot, you should have blocked your ears, sect of Quakers should, on conviction of the same, be banished on pain of death from the jurisdiction of the Commonwealth. Yes, that was Massachusetts. Over the threshold of his pleasant home, set in green clearings, passed the exiled friend. In simple trust, this doubting not the end. Dear heart of mine, he said, the time is come to trust the Lord for shelter. One long gaze the good wife turned on each familiar thing, the lowing kine, the orchard blossoming, the open door that showed the hearth fire's blaze, and kindly answered, yes, he will provide. Silent and slow, they crossed the homestead's round, lingering the longest by their child's grave mound. Move on or stay and hang, the sheriff cried. They left behind them more than home or land, and set sad faces to an alien strand, safer with winds and waves than human wrath, with ravening wolves than those whose zeal for God was cruelty to man. The exiles trod drear leagues of forest without guide or path, or launching frail boats on the uncharted sea, round storm-vexed capes whose teeth of granite ground the waves to foam. Their perilous way they wound, enduring all things, so their souls were free. Oh, true confessors, shaming them, who did anew the wrong their pilgrim fathers bore, for you, the Mayflower spreaders, sail once more, frightened with souls to all that duty bid, faithful as they who sought an unknown land, or wintry seas from Holland's hook of sand. So, from his lost home to the darkening main, boat full of storm, stout Macy held its way, and when the green shore blended with the gray, his poor wife moaned, let us turn back again. Nay, woman, weak of faith, kneel down, said he, and say thy prayers. The Lord himself will steer, and led by him, nor man nor devils I fear. So the gray southwards from a rainy sea saw far and faint the moved land, and gave with feeble voices thanks for friendly ground whereon to rest the weary feet, and found a peaceful deathbed and a quiet grave where ocean wall and wiser than his age, the Lord of shelter scorned the bigot's rage. The Whittier Isle, Nantucket's lonely shores, and Indian-haunted Narragansett, saw the way-worn travelers round their campfire draw, or heard the flashing of their weary oars, and every place whereon they rested grew happier. For pure and gracious womanhood, and men whose names for stainless honor stood, founders of states and rulers wise and true. The muse of history yet shall make amends to those who freedom, peace, and justice taught. Beyond their dark age led the van of thought and left unforfeited the name of friends. O Mother State, how foiled was thy design. The gain was theirs, the loss alone was thine. Thank you. Dear Whittier, dear Whittier. I've been watching too much news. My response poem, Chris is, okay, don't listen, Chris. I'll be reading a terzanelle, which is a combination of the terza rima and a villanelle poetry form. The title of the poem is a quote from Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, which seems to fit today. That this nation shall have a new birth of freedom. It sounds good, doesn't it? Will Lincoln's party die from foul neglect of people, values, law, safe, order? Will Lincoln's party die from foul neglect, from lies our leaders taunt about our border, our city dwellers, farmers, immigrants, neglect of people, values, law, safe order? He is well aware aired words have consequence. His theater prophets threaten liberty for city dwellers, farmhands, immigrants. Tweets spin chaos, conjure royalty, robbing the weak, the sick, the unemployed. One man's theater, profit, threaten liberty. We must believe our voice can't be destroyed. We'll save our liberty, entitlement for all, the poor, the sick, the unemployed. Scorning the law, the president claims liberty as his entitlement. So Lincoln's party dies from foul neglect. Has Lincoln's party died from foul neglect? Thank you all. Sorry, Harris. I am going to introduce our guest of honor, Harris Gardner.
Well, thank you all for coming, and thank you for Chris for your organizational skills, and everybody who contributed to the reception, and our photographer. It looks like a long poem, but it's just a duplicate. This is called The Pine Tree by John Greenleaf Whittier. Can you hear me all right? Okay. Lift again the stately emblem on the face-day's rusted shield. Give to northern winds the pine tree on our banner's tattered field. Sons of men who sat in council with their Bibles round their board, answering England's royal missive with a firm, "Thus saith the Lord." Rise again for home and freedom. Set the battle in array. What the fathers did of old, let us, old time we, their sons, must do today. Tell us not of banks and tariffs. Seize your paltry peddler cries. Shall the good state sink her honor that your gambling stocks may rise? Would ye barter man for cotton, that your gains may sum up higher? Must we kiss the feet of Moloch, pass our children through the fire? Is the dollar only real, God and truth and right a dream? Weighed against your lying ledgers, must our manhood kick the beam? Oh my God, for that free spirit, which of old in Boston town smote the Progress House with terror, struck the crest of Andros down. For another strong voice Adams in the city streets to cry, "Up for God in Massachusetts, set your feet on Mammon's lie." Perish banks and perish traffic, spin your cotton's latest pound, but in heaven's name keep your honor, keep the heart of the Bay State sound. Where's the man from Massachusetts? Where's the voice to speak her free? Where's the hand to light up bonfires from the mountains to the sea? Beats her pilgrim prowess no longer. Sits she dumb in her despair? Has she none to break the silence? Has she none to do and dare? Oh my God, for one right worthy to lift up her Russian shield and to plant again the pine tree in her banner's tattered field. I'm clapping for Whittier because I find this very timely for today. There's many words that relate to the news today. Anyway, I'm going to read another tree poem, but it's much simpler. This is called Entreaty to the Trees, from my book, No Time for Death. Anyway, that sounds like a callous commercial. Entreaty to the trees. 1. Exhale that we may breathe. 2. Spread your branches to shade and to shield. 3. Yield your limbs that we may sit or slumber. 4. Make a home for other creatures. 5. Blaze without fire the altered season. 6. Enlighten us in reed's dulcet discourse. 7. Be watchful and pray away the wooden axe handle. 8. Be a sentinel over the living and dead. 9. Nourish with your full-blown fruit. 10. Bind the earth before it bursts. Hold on a minute. Next up is going to be, where are we? I got it. Okay, let's welcome up with a real warm welcome for Alfred Nicole.
Well, I knew there would be no shortage of Whittier poems that would be applicable to the time we're living through, and my fellow poets here have really done a heck of a job of digging them up. That poem that you read, Debbie, and I guess you had something to do with that, Chris, that could have been written yesterday, that's for sure. But what I always like to do is to go try to find that Whittier that Debbie spoke about in one of her limericks. So what I'm going to do things backwards today. I'm going to read my own poem first, and it may put you in the mood to hear the poem of Whittier's that I've chosen to read. Our two poems have a lot in common. They're both a little wacky, to be sure, though mine is very practical. It's a how-to poem. It'll be how to read it will be to put my glasses on. Oops. So this poem is called How to Ignore an Invisible Man. Turn away briskly when sensing him near. Brush off the whisper that tickles your ear. Keep to the middle of sidewalks and hallways, or he'll sidle up next to you once and for always. Quietly tidy the rooms he leaves cluttered and wipe up the crumbs of the toast that he buttered. Remove empty hangers you find in the closet. Give him the slip when you make a deposit. Don't worry if someone keeps tracking in mud. Remember that water is thinner than blood. Keep up appearances. Try to relax. Appearance is something your nemesis lacks. The trouble, of course, with these men without faces is that they are standing in line to trade places. They make you uncomfortable, cramped in your skin. If you choose to step out, they are quick to slip in. You notice your signature isn't your own. You're told you don't sound like yourself on the phone. A friend calls you sir while presenting his card. Your Labrador chases you out of his yard. The video stream of your ego is paused. Amazing how little disturbance is caused, how no one reports this identity theft. Who'd claim to be victimized? No one is left. Now this poem, Whittier's poem, is less optimistic about dealing with occult intruders. These stanzas are taken from his poem titled The Demon of the Study. The devil of Martin Luther sat by the stout monk's side in social chat. But the demon that cometh day by day to my quiet room and fireside nook, where the casement light falls dim and gray on faded painting and ancient book, is a sorrier one than any whose names are chronicled well by good King James. No bearer of burdens like Caliban, no runner of errands like Ariel. He comes in the shape of a fat old man, without rap of knuckle or pull of bell, and whence he comes, or whither he goes, I know as I do of the wind which blows. A stout old man with a greasy hat, slouched heavily down to his dark red nose, and two gray eyes enveloped in fat, looking through glasses with iron bows. Read ye, and heed ye, and ye who can, guard well your doors from that old man. He comes with a careless, how do you do, and seats himself in my elbow chair. And my morning paper and pamphlet new fall forthwith under his special care, and he wipes his glasses and clears his throat, and button by button unfolds his coat. And then he reads from paper and book in a low and husky asthmatic tone. with the solid sameness of posture and look of one who reads to himself alone. And hour after hour on my senses come that husky wheeze and that dolorous hum. The price of stocks, the auction sales, the poet's song and lover's glee, the horrible murders, the seaboard gales, the marriage list and the jeu d'esprit, all reach my ear in the self-same tone. I shudder at each, but the fiend reads on. I cross my floor with a nervous tread. I whistle and laugh and sing and shout. I flourish my cane above my head and stir up the fire to roast him out. I topple the chairs and drum on the pane and press my hands on my ears. In vain. I've studied Glanville and James the Wise, and wizard black-letter tomes which treat of demons in every name and size which a Christian man is presumed to meet. But never a hint, and never a line can I find of a reading fiend like mine. Conjuro te, celeratissime, abire ad tuum locum. Still, like a visible nightmare, he sits by me. The exorcism has lost its skill, and I hear again in my haunted room the husky wheeze and the dolorous hum. Ah, commend me to Mary Magdalene with her sevenfold plagues, to the wandering Jew, to the terrors which haunted Orestes when the Furies his midnight curtains drew. But charm him off, ye who charm him can, that reading demon, that fat old man. There's a side of Whittier you don't get too often. Thank you. Oh, the next reader is Priscilla Turner-Scott.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see you all. I'd like to thank you all for coming this afternoon. I'd also like to thank Tapestry of Voices and the Whittier home, Harris Gardner and Lainey Seneschal, who started this wonderful event. God bless you, Lainey. And Chris and Peter Bryant, who were stewards of the Whittier home for so many years, and also Ann Ferguson, who is the current director. Thank you for inviting me. I'm honored to once again be included. I'll be reading 2 Whittier poems, one longer than a shorter one, in answer to the first one, then one of my own poems. I think they all fit the tenor of the times we are living in, speak for themselves. First up, The Hunter of Men, by John Greenleaf Whittier. He must have been in a rather sardonic mood when he wrote this. The Hunters of Men, 1834. Have ye heard of our hunting o'er mountain and glen, through canebrake and forest, the hunting of men? The lords of our land to this hunting have gone, as the fox hunter follows the sound of the horn. Hark! The cheer and hallo, the crack of the whip, and the yell of the hound as he fastens his grip. All blithe are our hunters, and noble they march. Though hundreds are caught, there are millions to catch. So speed to their hunting o'er mountain and glen, through canebrake and forest, the hunting of men. Gay luck to our hunters, how nobly they ride, in the glow of their zeal and the strength of their pride. The priest with his cassock flung back on the wind, just screening the politic statesman behind. The saint and the sinner, with cursing and prayer, the drunk and the sober, ride merrily there. And women, kind women, wife, widow, and maid, the good of the hunted, is lending her aid. Her foot's in the stirrup, her hand on the rein, how blithely she rides to the hunting of men. Oh, goodly and grand is our hunting to see in this land of the brave and the home of the free. Priest, warrior, and statesman, from Georgia to Maine, all mounting the saddle, all grasping the rein, right merrily hunting the black and brown man, whose sin is the curl of his hair and the hue of his skin. Woe now to the hunted who turns him at bay. Will our hunters be turned from their purpose and prey? Will their hearts fail within them, their nerves tremble, when all roughly they ride to the hunting of men? Ho, arms for our hunters, all weary and faint, wax the curse of the sinner and prayer of the saint. The horn is wound faintly, the echoes are still, over canebrake and river and forest and hill. Haste, arms for our hunters. The hunted once more have turned from their flight with their backs to the shore. What right have they here in the home of the white, shadowed o'er by our banner of freedom and right? Ho, arms for the hunters! Oh, never again will they ride in their pomp to the hunting of men. Arms, arms for our hunters! Why will ye delay, when their pride and their glory are melting away? The parson has turned, for on charge of his own, who goeth a warfare or hunting alone. The politic statesman looks back with a sigh. There is doubt in his heart. There is fear in his eye. Oh, haste, lest that doubting and fear shall prevail, and the head of his steed take the place of his tail. Oh, haste, ere he leave us, for who will ride then, for pleasure or gain, to the hunting of men? Now, this is another Whittier poem in answer to that message. Song of the Free, 1836. Pride of New England, soul of our fathers, shrink we all craven-like when the storm gathers? What though the tempest be over us lowering? Where's the New Englander, shamefully cowering? Graves green and holy around us are lying. Free were the sweepers, all, living and dying. Back with the Southerners' padlocks and scourges. Go, let him fetter down ocean's free surges. Go, let him silence winds, clouds, and waters. Never New England's own free sons and daughters. Free as our rivers, our oceanward going, free as the breezes are over us blowing. Up to our altars then, haste we, and summon courage and loveliness, manhood and woman. Deep let our pledges be, freedom forever, truth, truce with oppression, never, oh never. Granted of heaven, freedom for heart and lip, be the pledge given. If we have whispered truth, whisper no longer. Speak as the tempest does, sterner and stronger. Still be the tones of truth, louder and firmer, startling the haughty with the deep murmur. God and our charters right, freedom forever, truce with oppression. Never, oh never. And Whittier's words echo down the years. This is my poem, written a while ago, that sort of fits in. Where are the bridges? Where are the bridges from days gone by? I hear the voices amplify. They call from battlefields and graves and trenches with the blood of the brave. They fought the fight. They question why we can't see with our own eyes the evasiveness and lies of people who would make us slaves. Where are the bridges? We need to speak up, nullify the spewings of the ones who deny, the false prophets and the knaves, the truth our forebears fought to save. We must bear witness, unify. Where are the bridges?
Yeah, a whole lot to say, just a little bit. Okay, first and foremost, I want pictures of the student poets and the readers today, all of the poets. And I don't know that we're going to do it in front of the grape arbor this time because there's sun over there. So, Dottie, you got any ideas?
Right in front of the
What?
right there.
Yeah, we could do it over here if we move some of the stuff out of the way. And everyone, there are refreshments on the table, and there are more refreshments in the house. And so please enjoy the breeze and the warm weather and stand around and just enjoy. And if you could, before you leave, if you could just fold up your chair and take it up into the home, I can show you where to put them. Okay? Or you can leave some of them out and just sit wherever. Take your chair with you. Thank you for coming today. I really appreciate the good turnout and the warm welcome you gave all of our students. We had so many more poems this year submitted from 3 different high schools, and it was the hardest that I can remember to read all of those poems and to choose. And I think we did really well. We got 3 goodies here. First prize, Isabel. Second prize, Kyle. And third prize, Lucius. And, yeah, Debbie, you missed it. It was great. It was wonderful. But you got another year. Yeah. So we'll see. This is second year for Isabel and second year for Lucius. And Kyle, maybe we'll see you next year too. Okay. Thank you all for coming.